Hi, and welcome to our Fireside chat today. We are coming to you on a different day today. We've got a lot going on at the PMFRC week. This week it is National Volunteer Week, but it is also Month of the Military Child. So we've got a lot going on. We hope you are keeping touch with us on Facebook to see all that's happening. Today we are doing a very special volunteer themed chat, Fireside chat. And I just want to introduce the folks that are joining us today. Our Garrison Commander, Colonel John Bass, is here to join us. We have two of our fabulous volunteers, Lisa Coutu and Ryan Martin, are here to join us. Christine Bush is here. She is from CANX. She's going to talk about her role from the volunteer perspective later on. Sarah Gunter is here. She is our volunteer specialist at the PMFRC. And as always, Claudia Beswick is joining us. She is the executive director at the PMFRC. So Claudia, here in Petawawa, you wear the executive director hat. But earlier in your career with MFRCs, you were a volunteer coordinator. So I know that volunteerism and our volunteers are always sort of near and dear to your heart. From your experience over the years, why do people get involved in volunteer?
Personally, I've always volunteered growing up as a child, and that just has carried through my whole life. It's actually how I got started, or how I was first introduced to MFRCs when I started volunteering at the MFRC in Chatham, New Brunswick. That was before they changed it to Miramichi. From there, I joined the MFRC world in Gagetown as a volunteer coordinator. So it is something that really is near and dear to my heart. And I think people volunteer for a variety of reasons. It's a great way to meet new friends. It's a great way to stay connected into the community. Especially if you're new to a community, it's a great way to figure out what's on in the community and how to develop your extended network. It could be about a volunteer's willingness to share their life experiences. It may help someone build their self-confidence. It can give a feeling of satisfaction, learning new skills along the way, or someone sharing skills that they've learned. And volunteering really can be beneficial for someone's job search, wanting to learn new things. And some do it just because it's a chance to pay it forward, and helping others can be really rewarding and inspiring. But really, whatever the person's reason is for volunteering, it's meaningful, it's significant, and I believe it really provides a sense of purpose. The most important thing you need to do is to make sure that what you're doing or what you're passionate about for volunteering matches with the organization that you're volunteering with. That really sets everyone up for great success, and really rewarding, and gives you something to feel satisfied about.
Thank you. So every year, the National Volunteer Organization puts together a theme for the week. And the theme for this week, for this year, is empathy and action. And the whole idea of action and making a difference. Sir, Colonel Bass, can you talk a little bit, how do volunteers, what kind of impact can they make, and how can they strengthen the community?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for the question. I'll just preface it by saying thank you and thanking you for including me in this fireside chat, and most importantly, I think congratulations, Ryan and Lisa, and thank you very much for everything you've done to deserve these awards. Very much appreciated. But going back to the question. I think the fact is that the world has many urgent issues right now. There's food insecurity, obviously the war in the Ukraine. There's other smaller conflicts that are ongoing. The pandemic, there's water shortages, and there's extreme poverty. And with COVID-19 over the past few years, the number of people that do need a helping hand has increased significantly. So, my opinion, I think the volunteers within in a community really are that glue that holds that community together. And some of what Claudia mentioned, it does allow the volunteers to connect with the community and make it a much better place for everybody that lives here. Even helping out with the smallest tasks can make a significant difference in the lives of people, and in some cases, animals, of course, and certainly the organizations that are in need. And it is a two-way street. The volunteer can benefit, and their family can as well. but equally the community certainly does benefit from the volunteerism. It does let the volunteer meet new friends, expands, of course, the network within the community, and it increases social skills within the area. But in conclusion, it benefits the community significantly, and I think people, volunteers, do walk away with a sense of satisfaction, knowing that they have contributed positively to everybody that they've influenced. So, thank you, Julie, for the question.
Thank you. Christine, thank you for joining us. This is your first Fireside Chat with us, so welcome. For those people who don't know, Connex is our store. If you're in Petawawa, you're familiar with Connex, but you may not be aware that the Connexes across Canada make a contribution every year, really to help MFRCs and PSP to recognize the volunteers in our community. Can you talk a little bit about what Connex is doing across the country to support volunteerism?
Absolutely, thanks, Julie. As Connex, so we obviously understand the commitments, the time, the talent and efforts that each volunteer is devoted to, improving the well-being of those who serve. So Connex has created an opportunity for us to highlight volunteers on a national level on the CAF Connection website. They have the opportunity to nominate a volunteer. The selected volunteers will be showcased with all their efforts on a monthly profile and thanked with a $250 Connex gift card, celebrating and recognizing the important work each volunteer does to support our local CAF communities. So, on behalf of me and Connex, I would thank all of the volunteers for their efforts and hard work.
So after this session, I'm going to add that link to the comment section underneath. So you can see the nomination form if you're interested in that, but also so you can see the profiles of the people who've been recognized throughout the year and get a better idea of who it is and the kind of work they're doing across the country. Sir, we all know that the CAF has a strong culture of their own and a set of values and skills that are recognized. How can members of the CAF use those skills as volunteers? What do they bring to the table that might be somewhat unique for us?
Thanks, Julie. Yeah, a couple things. As you mentioned, we all have a personal set of values and ethics, and really they come from our own particular cultures, our heritage, and our life experience, and it helps to define us. But the defense team, which of course includes the Canadian Armed Forces, does as well. And the three principles that we follow are respect the dignity of all people, serve Canada before self, and obey and support lawful authority. So keeping these moral and ethical principles in mind, combined with the leadership, the team building, the problem solving, the resource management, reliability, and dedication that a military member does bring to the table, I think make them a very valuable member of a volunteer team, and the community will definitely benefit. As in Ryan's case, I know you're a soldier over in 3RCR, and you bring a lot to the table, and that's why you're being recognized today. So he's a perfect example, I think, of what a CAF member can bring to the table.
Absolutely. So on that note, let's actually go to our volunteers, because I think that we can talk about volunteering in general all that we want, but maybe it would be great to give some examples about the kind of work that volunteers actually can do at the PMFRC, the kinds of jobs they do and the kind of contributions that they make. Lisa, I've known you for a number of years. You've been volunteering for for the PMFRC over a number of years. Can you talk about some of the work that you've been doing for the MFRC? In the last year, but also, I guess, sort of pre-pandemic times when the world looked a little bit different and volunteers had different types of roles, the kind of work that you did to support the PMFRC, and why do you volunteer?
Thank you, Julie. I was actually surprised to see how far back this all went. And it was about 8 years ago. I started by face painting at block parties, as my best friend Kim was doing it. And once I was in, the volunteer coordinator kind of did their job. And back then it was Christina Schramm. And she just started plugging me in and finding out what my interests were. And she'd find out there was something that needed doing and she'd say, hey, you want to do it? And it was as easy as that. So over the years, I've done planning committee work for Dress for Success. I've done poster work for different activities and such. And I remember you were a big part of helping those be presentable. But over the years, I've done welcome calls. That was one of my very favorite things to do with information services. And that was just calling up families that had just come to the area and right away saying, hi, welcome, here's what's here. And it was amazing. And sometimes I'd spend an hour on a phone with a person, and other times I just wanted the details and I'd be done. But no matter what, I'm just what everyone said. I made friends. I learned skills. There was free childcare for my young children. So that was a really big part of facilitating my involvement in the community. And definitely being a volunteer, it's part of manifesting something and doing it for the sake of it, because it's going to make your community better for it. And then I just remember the end of block parties sometimes, at the end of the day, just seeing everyone just happy and packing things up and knowing that people made friends, people had experiences, and you were a part of that. So I want to thank definitely the PMFRC for being so open to encouraging volunteerism, but also for CANX for giving us the thank you, because it's its own reward. You thank yourself, but it's kind of neat to draw attention to the fact that most of the good work we're doing right now in society, it's done by people who aren't looking for a profit. So thank you. And thanks for this award. It's really cool.
It's a lot of variety there, from face painting to calls to organizing committees, and all of it important. Ryan, can you talk a little bit about the kind of volunteer work that you do with the MFRC?
Yes. So there's a few things that I have done over the past couple of years. I kind of got here to Petawawa. I got posted here about 4 years ago. Since then, I had to focus a lot on my career at the beginning, trying to advance in that. However, after that, I was like, hey, I've got some free time. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do. I want some fulfillment, more than the job, obviously. So I ended up coming to Petawawa, got in touch with the PMFRC after looking at some of the pamphlets that are put out, kind of all over base area. So I got there. And then basically the biggest volunteering that I've been doing through PMFRC would be youth basketball. So we do that every Tuesday, Thursday nights, ranges between 2 to 3 hours. And it's been great because not only have I been teaching these youth about basketball, but honestly, it's come back to me a lot too, about patience and how to deal with children, which I don't get a lot in my job, right? It's everybody it's older, and you don't get to really see that aspect of the job. So just throughout all of that, it's been a great learning experience. I've just seen kind of how to interact with different varieties of people, and everybody from different type of households. So it's been really good. That's what I've really enjoyed. We're switching over to Monday nights now, just due to the season and some things. It's been great. And I wanted to say that I wanted to thank everybody, from the PMFRC to the CANX. And not only that, but I also wanted to just thank my chain of command at the same time in my unit for allowing me the availability to be able to do these things. It's not all the time, especially right now. We're in the middle of running a course over at my unit, and it can get very hectic. And I would have to say that my immediate chain of command has been awesome with being able to reallocate time to be able to help out. A lot of the time I'm rushing in between places, and I get it, life gets hectic, but at the same time, what I do know is that not only are they changing my life, but it's coming back to the kids as well, and the youth and the community, which is what I do this for. So it's been really good.
Thank you so much for that. Sarah, you have working with about 200 volunteers from across the community. And I know that one of the things that's really important to you is getting to know the volunteers and sort of finding their strengths and finding their interests and matching them with the job that's going to be meaningful to them. If there's somebody watching who's thinking, you know what, I have some time, I would really like to get involved and volunteer with the MFRC, how do they get a hold of you, and what's the process to make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best thing to do is reach out to me by email or by phone. I always joke and say I run an open door policy or open email policy during the pandemic. So I'm always available, able to answer all those questions. And really, like you touched on, Julie, it's that one-on-one connection. Then we get that opportunity to really figure out what is the volunteer looking for? What do we have available? Those kinds of pieces, and we bring that together. From there is a little bit of a process that we go through. So we do the interview and kind of getting to know the volunteer, but also for them to kind of figure out some paperwork and then go through criminal record checks, those kinds of things, all the fine-tuned things. But yes, the best bet is to do that. If you just want to explore on your own, you can always visit our website at CAF Connection. We have a link, which we'll link below, becoming a volunteer. And that just gives you that kind of stepping stone if you just want that general information.
Absolutely. So as we've alluded to, Lisa and Ryan have won awards this year, a Volunteer of the Year and a Volunteer of Merit. Sarah, can you maybe just sort of go through, I guess, our first award, what's involved in it, what are the considerations, and then Sarah will ask you to sort of read the nomination. Sarah, you want to kick off?
I'm so thrilled. This is the best part, I think, of my job, is giving back and then having the opportunity to give these awards. So every year we do give out 2 awards that Julie touched on. So the Volunteer of the Year and the Award of Merit. They are based on actually nominations. So from colleagues across all the departments have the opportunity to nominate any of the volunteers that they might have worked with or maybe stuff they've seen. So it's open across the board. They can nominate. This year, both award winners were nominated, which I was thrilled. It's just great to see them. So I'll touch on Volunteer of the Year, which is going to Ryan. Volunteer of the Year, there's a few key things that they have to touch on to be able to be nominated. So one of those being that they have exemplified a lot of volunteer hours within the last year. They don't have to have a lengthy service with us, just that they were very active within the year as much as they could be. And Ryan definitely took that on, especially during a time of pandemic. He always reached out whenever he could, just so I knew he was there and just willing to step forward. They demonstrate leadership as one of the pillars, as well as they have impacted some of our direct programs. So that's something that we've seen. From the Award of Merit, so going to Lisa, like Julie touched on, Lisa's been a volunteer with us. So this one is it is also our highest recognition for a PMFRC volunteer, so super well deserved. They have at least been with the agency for several years. They have brought in a high volume of volunteer hours. They've also extended the program out to other people. So they really live by that volunteer kind of mindset. So they really explore it. So again, Lisa, you do that all the time. They inspire others to engage in those activities and be involved within the community. And just overall, they are a person that just really wants to give back, as well as influence the quality of life of military families. So I couldn't think of 2 other people. I also want to give, of course, mad love to all of our amazing volunteers, especially over a year that, there was a lot of closures and in a very difficult year. All of the volunteers across the board have really stepped up and reached out whenever they could. So I'm very happy to have such a great volunteer team behind me.
Sir, as Sarah said, there was a nomination process, and Sarah goes out to our team and asks, who we would like to nominate for Volunteer of the Year. And I believe you have those nominations. Can you read the nomination and the recommendation that was done for Ryan?
I can, absolutely, Julie, and thank you again for including me in this. It is truly an honor, Ryan, and thank you so much. So I'm very proud to read this out on your behalf. So Ryan became a member of the PMFRC volunteer in 2020 during a period of high restrictions due to the pandemic. He was eager and excited to start volunteering and help in any way that he could to support the PMFRC's programs. Due to the restrictions, Ryan has primarily volunteered virtually and has reached out multiple times to see how he could best support the PMFRC. In this capacity, he has shown leadership and dedication to the PMFRC. Ryan, it says here, your attitude has always been positive, and your eagerness to sign up for volunteer opportunities is an example to all of us. You've been quick to provide feedback, answer questions, and share ideas, even while balancing, like you said, a very busy work schedule. In your short time with the PMFRC, Ryan, you've helped the PMFRC's information systems team with welcoming new families to the area and provided support for those programs. You've played an integral supportive role with deployment services, working behind the scenes, creating over 100 relief kits and cutting countless brown paper rolls for your morale mail service. You're always the first to sign up for these types of volunteering opportunities. You've also been volunteering with the community supporting youth basketball on a weekly basis. Ryan, we do all feel honored to have you part of the team as a PMFRC volunteer. You bring attentiveness, flexibility, and have left a lasting impression with the PMFRC. And as you can well see, that is why you're being presented with this award. Well earned and very much well deserved, Ryan. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ryan. Thank you so much for all that you do. It always amazes me the variety of tasks that people step up to do behind the scenes that that people don't necessarily see, but are so important to make our programs happen. Sir, I believe you also have the nomination there for Lisa.
I do, absolutely, Julie. And again, this is very inspirational, I think, for all of us. And Lisa, you've been a member of the PMFRC volunteer team since 2016, having volunteered over 175 hours, which is significant. So I did some infantry math, and that's actually 5 straight 40-hour weeks of volunteering. And of course, it's been cut up, but that is a huge contribution. So well done. You've invested in the PMFRC, and you're known as a very friendly face among staff and clients. It says she is a pleasure to work with and has many great ideas that she continually brings forth. You've helped over the years in several PMFRC departments and played a part in helping to develop programs, support services, and encouraging others to get involved with volunteering. You took a brief hiatus from volunteering to focus your efforts on your academic endeavors. Well done. And upon your return, you reintegrated seamlessly back with the PMFR's team and its priorities. We as a full team are grateful for your return, and you are definitely an example to others, Lisa. This year, you helped put together posters for upcoming programs and sharing that information. You work closely with Deployment Services to put together one of their resources, the cookbook. In this role, you gathered recipes and designed the entirety of the cookbook. That's huge. That's very significant. And it turned out fantastic. Lisa volunteers every chance she gets and tries to get involved in different projects. She does an excellent job at balancing volunteering with your personal commitments. You're creative, dedicated, passionate, and a knowledgeable volunteer that has shown the PMFRC repeatedly what an asset you are to the organization. That speaks for itself, Lisa. Extremely well done. And I think we're all very, very thankful for your contributions.
I'm going to put a link in the comment section for those people who want to check out the cookbook. So Lisa and the team sat down. One of the things that as a deployed family member, the spouse of a deployed member, it's tough to put those meals together and sort of come up with those plans. That's sort of the tough situation. So really focusing on what are the kinds of meals that are quick and easy that you can do, and those tips to make that part of your life a little bit easier when your spouse is deployed. So I'm going to put the link there. If you have a deployment coming up, this is definitely a resource that Lisa has worked on that's going to benefit you and your family. So I'm going to give a little push for that so people know that that's available. So that'll be in the comments section as well. Thanks, Lisa.
Awesome. Excellent.
Sir, in addition, we are going to sort of like add you in for another thing here. In addition to being National Volunteer Week, it is also Teal Up today. Teal Up Day, this is why a number of us are wearing these fancy teal shirts.
And me too, thank you.
So Teal Up Day is a day that was started at CFB Shiloh to recognize military kids. We have a video on our Facebook page, sir, that you are talking to military kids in the area. But while you are here, do you want us to have a message for the kids of military members?
Yeah, absolutely, Julie. Thank you again. So as you mentioned, each April, the month of the military child, it provides us a chance to recognize and thank the children of our service members, and that includes veterans as well. So personally, growing up as a military child, I fully understand that military connected children shoulder the burdens of service. They face unique challenges from a young age. You move frequently with your families, you leave friends, you leave schools and communities behind. You say goodbye to deploying family members, and in some cases, you don't know when you're going to see them again. So this month and every month, we certainly share our gratitude to all of you children, if there are any children listening in. We recognize the hardships and uncertainty that you face, and as an institution, we truly do want to recognize you and thank you for your sacrifices. Thanks, Julie, for giving me the chance to do that.
No problem. Before we sign off, Claudia, I think that you had something that you wanted to talk about.
I do. I have a couple of thank yous to send off. So Colonel Vass, your schedule is extremely busy, and we really truly appreciate every time that you participate in any of these fun things that we call you up for. And obviously, this morning you spent some time with us at Little Troopers North to tie our teal ribbons around the fences and get a picture with a couple of the kids. And we really appreciate the fact that you're willing to do that and schedule us in your very busy calendar. And I know the FSM is not able to be here today, but he also attends with you, and we really appreciate that. So thank you so much for all that you do on behalf of the MFRC. Christine, to Canex, I haven't met you in person, but welcome to our crazy family here at the PMFRC. You will probably interact a lot with us. We do tend to collaborate with Canex quite a bit, and thank you for joining us today. And obviously, thank you for the ongoing support with regards to our volunteer appreciation and everything else that Canex does to support the things that we do for our CAF families. To Lisa and Ryan, congratulations. Every little bit of volunteering that happens means so much, not just to the team, but to the families and for those people and clients that we're serving. So we couldn't do it without you, and there's no two more deserving people to get those awards. So I'm very glad that we were able to do this through the Fireside chat. And normally we have an in-person event that usually has a little bit of fun and games involved, but with the pandemic still having restrictions in place, we're doing this through Fireside chat, but we really appreciate you doing what you do. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of our volunteers for the countless hours that they contribute to the PMFRC all the time. You've definitely left your mark. Specifically to our volunteer board of directors, they have been so diligent in governing the organization through COVID. They have done so much with respect to ensuring that staff client safety is paramount. It is one of our strategic priorities, and they have done so much the last 2 years to make sure that we are doing everything that we need to do, and everyone stays healthy and safe at work. Also to the volunteers, the countless hours. I know it wasn't this past year, the year before, the thousands and thousands of masks that were sewn, to doing those welcome calls and just being available for the very limited amount of volunteer opportunities that we had. But they stayed connected with Sarah and willing to do whatever volunteer work that she could find. You really are an inspiration. But I also want to make sure I don't forget to send out a huge thank you to Sarah. She manages, as Julie said, over 200 volunteers. We have about 30 youth volunteers, and hard enough to keep everybody engaged on track in the normal world. But she's been so diligent in making sure that volunteers are staying connected and looking for opportunities that could be shared with her team. And it is a bit of a challenge. She spent the last 2 years because of COVID being very creative and leading the way, taking a really collaborative approach and seeing where volunteers are needed, not just with the MFRC, but also within the community. We pride ourselves on stakeholder engagement, and she connects with various other charitable organizations, nonprofit organizations that are looking for volunteers. So huge shout out to you, Sarah. You've done an amazing job the last couple of years with our volunteer department. And it goes without saying that we haven't lost our volunteers. Our numbers have been pretty consistent, and they're showing up when we need them, and we couldn't do it without them. It's really been a year of reflecting on meaningful opportunities for volunteers and how we're able to best support them while providing opportunities to learn new and different ways of doing things. So without a doubt, we continue to be humbled by the spirit of our volunteers. We're eternally grateful for all that you do for the PMFRC. So Sarah, Ryan, thank you. To the rest of our volunteers who may be tuning in either now or later. Really, truly appreciate everything that you have done for the PMFRC. Colonel Vass, Christine, thank you so much for joining us today. It means a lot that you are here for us as well. So thank you.
So I am going to put all this information. If you are watching this and you want to join our PMFRC team as an adult or as a teen, you're looking for your volunteer hours, get a hold of Sarah. I'll put her information in the contact. We are going to be back next Wednesday with our mental health team. We've got some new members. We want to talk about the programs and the services that we provide there, but it's also Mental Health Week. So we look forward to speaking with you next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye.